Hey viewers, have you ever wondered how we are alive? So, it is just because of our heart. See, when we are in our mother's womb at the gestation period, after 1 month, the heart is developed. We can say the first organ of beginning of life is what? Yes, it is none other than heart. So today I'm going to explore all about body fluids and circulation. Assalamu alaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Welcome back to my YouTube channel AR Paradin. See, let us start with circulatory system. It is a very important system in the body of living organism which performs the following functions. First one, distribution of nutrient and oxygen to all parts of the body. Next, collection of waste and harmful products from all parts of the body and bringing them back to the concerned organs for their removal from the body. Distribution of various hormones and other substances secreted by different glands of the body. In simple organisms like sponges and other water circulates from their surrounding through their body cavities and bring about the exchange of these substances. In complex organisms, special fluids within their bodies to transport such nutrients. Blood is the most commonly used body fluid by most of the higher organisms, including human beings. Lymph is the another body fluid which also helps in the transport of certain substances. First, what is blood? It is a special connective tissue that circulates in vascular system of human and other vertebrates containing a fluid matrix called plasma and formed elements like blood cells or corpuscles like RBCs, WBCs and platelets. Coming to next part, that is plasma. The liquid part of blood or lymph which is straw colored viscous fluid constituting nearly 55% of blood. Out of that 55%, 90 to 92% of plasma is water and 6 to 8% protein. Proteins are fibrinogen, globulin and albumin. These are the major protein found in plasma. Fibrinogen is required in blood clotting or coagulation of blood. Globulin involved in defense mechanism of the body. Albumin helps in osmotic balance of fluid. Plasma also contains small amount of minerals, glucose, amino acid, lipids, etc. Minerals like sodium, calcium, magnesium, carbonate ions and chlorine ions, etc. Plasma without the clotting factor is called as serum. Coming to the next part of blood is formed elements. Formed elements are RBCs, WBCs and the platelets. First, erythrocytes, also known as RBCs, red blood cells, is the most abundant of all the cells of blood. It is present 5 to 5 million RBCs found per mm cube of the blood produced from the red bone marrow in the adults. RBC is devoid of nucleus in most of the mammals. Biconcave in shape, red in color due to presence of complex conjugated protein called hemoglobin. 12 to 16 gram of hemoglobin present per 100 ml of blood in a healthy adult. RBCs have average lifespan of 120 days, after which is destroyed in the spleen. Spleen is commonly known as the graveyard of RBCs. Next part is leukocytes, also known as white blood cells. They are colorless due to lack of hemoglobin. They are nucleated and relatively lesser in number, which averages 6,000 to 8,000 per mm cube of the blood. We have two main categories of WBCs, that is granulocytes and agranulocytes. Granulocytes have neutrophils, basophils, and eosinophils, whereas agranulocytes have lymphocytes and monocytes. Functions of leukocytes. First one, neutrophils. It is about 60 to 65% of the total WBCs are phagocytic in nature. Basophils, it is about 0.5 to 1% and it secretes histamine, serotonin, and heparin, and also involved in inflammatory reactions. Eosinophils, it is about 2 to 3% of and resist infection and also associated with allergic reactions. Coming to the lymphocytes, there are two types, T cells and the B cells, constitute 20 to 25% and involved in the immune response of the body. Next, monocytes. Monocytes is about 10 to 15% and becomes macrophages. Next part of the blood is thrombocytes or platelets, also known as blood platelets. It is produced from fragmentation of megakaryocytes. Blood normally contains 1,50,000 to 3,50,000 platelets per mm cube. It involved in releasing thromboplastin required to initiate blood coagulation, which also prevents the excessive loss of blood from the injured part of the body. Human blood grouping or blood groups. Human blood groups can be distinguished into four types. They are A, B, O, and AB together. This grouping is based on the surface of RBCs and presence of antigen. Next, ABO grouping. ABO grouping is based on the presence or absence of two surface antigens on the RBCs, namely A and B. And what are the antigens? Antigens are the chemical that can induce immune response. Next, plasma of different individuals contain two natural antibodies, that is antibody A and antibody B. And what are the antibodies? Antibodies are the proteins produced in response to antigens. In a mismatched transfusion, the antigen of the donor reacts with antibody of the recipient to cause a reaction called clumping of agglutination. Person with blood group O has no antigen, hence can donate blood to anyone, and also called as universal donor. Person with blood group AB has no antibodies in his plasma, hence can receive blood from anyone. It is also called as universal recipient. See, next, Rh grouping. In addition to the different blood group antigens like A and B, there is another antigen called Rh antigen or rhesus antigen. Is also observed on the surface of RBCs of human being. About 80% of human population contain Rh antigen. Rh antigen is present on the RBCs of rhesus monkeys. Hence they are called Rh antigens. Mismatching of Rh factors may also lead to clumping or destructions of RBCs in human beings. Therefore, during blood transfusion, Rh factor is also considered as an Important factor. Person with Rh antigen is said to be Rh positive. Person without Rh antigen is said to be Rh negative. Role of Rh factors in pregnancy. A serious problem arises when an Rh negative woman marries a Rh positive man. When the woman becomes pregnant, the developing embryo will have Rh positive antigen in their blood. The antigen from the embryo blood may enters into the mother's blood through the placenta during first childbirth. These antigens induce the production of antibodies against Rh antigen in the mother's body. These antibodies remain in the body of mother for longer duration. In case the woman become pregnant for a second child, the antibodies present in her body enters into the embryo blood and leads to the destruction of RBCs, which results in the abortion of embryo or stillbirth, means dead baby. This condition is called erythroblastosis fetalis or HDN, hemolytic disease in newborn. In order to prevent the formation of antibodies in the mother's body, she has to take Rh gamma globulin injection within 72 hours of the first childbirth. Coagulation of blood or blood clotting. Injury to the blood vessels lead to loss of blood called hemorrhage. There is an intrinsic mechanism to stop hemorrhage is called hemostasis or coagulation of blood or blood clotting. See, blood clotting is it's a liquid state as long as it remains in the blood vessels. If it is drawn out of the blood vessel, it thickens and eventually forms a gel called blood clot or thrombus. The clot consists of network of insoluble protein fibers in which the cellular components of blood are trapped. The process of clotting of blood is called coagulation. The blood clotting is a dominant homeostatic defense. Clot is formed due to conversion of plasma protein called fibrinogen into an insoluble fibrin threads. Clot formation is a vital mechanism that prevents excessive loss of blood hemorrhage. Clotting involves various chemicals known as coagulation factors. It consists of vitamin K, calcium ions, chemical factors like factor 8, 9 and 10. Requirement for blood clotting. According to Best and Taylor's theory, the blood clotting requires four important substances, namely prothrombin, thrombokinase, fibrinogen, and calcium ion. Prothrombin. It is an unstable protein produced by the liver and present in the blood plasma. Thrombokinase. It is a lipoprotein enzyme present in the tissues. Fibrinogen. It is a soluble protein produced by the liver but present in the plasma. Calcium ions. It is an inorganic constituent present in the blood plasma. Mechanism of blood clotting. When there is an injury, thrombokinase is released by the injured cells. Thrombokinase converts prothrombin into thrombin in the presence of calcium ion. Thrombin acts on the soluble proteins called fibrinogen to convert into insoluble fibrin threads. These fibrin threads entangled with the blood cells and forms a clot or thrombus. See, coming to the next fluid, that is lymph or tissue fluid. The blood passing through the capillaries in tissues, some water along with many smaller water soluble substances and lymphocytes move out in the space between the cells of tissues. This fluid is called the interstitial fluid or tissue fluid or lymph. See, composition of the lymphs. It is composed of fluid matrix, plasma, white blood corpuscle or leukocytes, contain less amount of protein than plasma, divides of RBCs. What are the functions of lymphocytes? Lymph, lymphatic fluid. Lymph helps for exchange of nutrients, gases, etc. between the blood and the cells. Lymphocytes present in the lymph are responsible for the immune response of the body. Coming to the next part, circulatory pathways. Circulatory pathways are classified into two types. They are namely open and closed pathways. Example for open pathway are arthropods and mollusks, in which the blood pumped by the heart passes through the large vessels into open space or body cavities called binuses. Example for closed pathway are annelids and chordates, in which the blood pumped by the heart is always circulate through the closed network of blood vessels. All vertebrates have muscular chamber heart. Fishes have two-chambered heart with which an atrium and a ventricles. Amphibians and the reptiles have three-chamber heart with two atria and a ventricle, whereas crocodile, birds and mammals possesses a four-chambered heart with two auricles and two ventricles. In fishes, the heart pumps out deoxygenated blood, which is oxygenated by the gills and supplied to all parts of the body, called venous heart. In amphibians and reptiles, the left atrium receives oxygenated blood from the gills or lungs or skin, and the right atrium gets the deoxygenated blood from other parts. However, they get mixed up in the single ventricle which pumps out mixed blood, so that this type of circulation is called incomplete double circulation. In birds and mammals, oxygenated and deoxygenated blood received by the left and right atria respectively passes on to the ventricles of the same sides. The ventricle pump it out without any mixing up. So the two separate circulatory pathways are present in these organisms. Hence, these animals have double circulation. Next, human circulatory system. William Harvey in the year 1628 has shown circulation of blood in man. In human beings, blood circulation is of closed type, where the blood flows within the blood vessels. There are three types of blood vessels present in man, such as arteries, veins, and blood capillaries. Arteries carry the blood away from the heart, veins carry the blood to the heart, and through the capillaries, the blood flows throughout the system. Heart is situated toward left side of chest cavity, protected behind rib cage. The size of the heart is about closed left hand face that weighs about 340 grams, and the color of the heart is dark red. Next, coming to the vertical section or ventral section of human heart. Heart is surrounded by a tough connective membrane called pericardium. Heart wall consists of three layers such as an outer pericardium, middle myocardium, and inner endocardium. Human heart consists of four chambers, upper two auricles and lower two ventricles. Left and right auricles are separated by interauricular septum. Left and right ventricles are separated by interventricular septum. Between left auricle and left ventricle, there is a bicuspid wall or mitral wall. Between right auricle to left ventricle, there is a tricuspid wall. Aorta is the largest artery arising from the left ventricle, which carries oxygenated blood to distribute to different parts of the body. The opening of aorta is guarded by aortic semilunar wall. Pulmonary artery arising from right ventricle, which carry deoxygenated blood to the lungs for oxygenation. Opening of pulmonary artery is guarded by pulmonary semilunar wall. There are two pairs of pulmonary veins carrying oxygenated blood opens into left auricle. Superior and inferior vena cava carry deoxygenated blood and opens into right auricle. Superior vena cava is the largest vein of the body. Functioning of the heart. The heart shows rhythmic contraction and relaxation. Contraction of heart is called systole and the relaxation of heart is called as diastole. The alternate systole followed by a diastole is called one cardiac cycle or one heartbeat. When both the auricles are contracted, bicuspid and tricuspid walls are open, resulting in the flow of oxygenated blood from left auricle to left ventricle and deoxygenated blood from right auricle to right ventricle. When both the ventricles are contracted, bicuspid and tricuspid walls are closed, whereas aortic and pulmonary semilunar walls are opened, resulting in the flow of oxygenated blood from left ventricle to aorta and deoxygenated blood from right ventricle to pulmonary arteries. The oxygenated blood from pulmonary veins and deoxygenated blood from superior and inferior vena cava flows into their respective left and right auricles during general pause. General pause is the position of heart when both auricles and ventricles are in the relaxed state. In a healthy man, at the rest heartbeat about 72 times per minute. Hence, one heartbeat is completed in 0.8 second. How it is 0.8 second? Let me describe you. Auricular systole lasts for 0.1 second, whereas ventricular systole lasts for 0.3 second, and together uh, general pause lasts for 0.4 second, and altogether one cardiac cycle lasts for 0.8 second. Coming to the next volumes, stroke volume. The amount of blood pumped by heart during the one heartbeat or one ventricular systole is called stroke volume. It is about 70 ml per beat. Cardiac output. The amount of blood pumped by the heart in 1 minute is called cardiac output and is about 5040 ml. How it is 5040 ml? In one cardiac cycle, it is going to 70 ml into 72 bits, and that is going to equal to 5040 ml. See, hence, cardiac output is equal to stroke volume into number of heartbeats per mm. Electrocardiograph or ECG. ECG is a graphical representation of the electrical activity of the heart during a cardiac cycle. Diagrammatic presentation of ECG. See, where we are going to use PQRST letters, where P stand for electrical excitation of the atria or contraction of the both atria, whereas QRS complex wave represents the depolarization of the ventricle or ventricular contraction, and T represent the return of ventricles from contraction phase to the relaxation phase or repolarization. Next part is double circulation. Left half of the heart receives and conducts oxygenated blood, whereas right half of the heart receives and conducts deoxygenated blood. Both oxygenated and deoxygenated blood never mix. Hence, human heart function like double pump, and it is also called as double circulation. See, it is divided into two steps. First is pulmonary circulation. The circulation of blood between heart and lungs is called pulmonary circulation, and it is shorter circulation. Deoxygenated blood from the right ventricle is carried by pulmonary artery to the lungs for oxygenation. Oxygenated blood from the lungs carried by pulmonary veins flows into left auricle. Coming to the next step, we have systemic circulation. The circulation of blood between heart and all parts of the body is called systemic circulation, and it is longer circulation. Oxygenated blood from the left ventricle is carried out by aorta and distributed to all parts of the body. Now the blood becomes deoxygenated and carried by superior and inferior vena cava back into right auricle. Next part is origin and conduction of heartbeat. Coordination of heartbeat is due to the presence of a specialized system called cardiac conducting system. present in heart wall. It is composed of specialized muscle tissue that generates and distributes the electrical impulses, waves of contraction, which stimulate the cardiac muscles to contract. It, it consists of sinoatrial node and auriculoventricular node, bundle of his and Purkinje's fiber. The heartbeat is initiated and regulated by SAN. It is situated in the upper wall of right auricle just below the opening of superior vena cava. SAN initiates the heartbeat and set the pace of the heartbeat. Hence, SAN is called as pacemaker. Since the pacemaker is made up of muscle tissue which controls the heartbeat, the human heart is called as myogenic heart. SAN generates and transmits the waves of contractions across the muscular walls of auricles, resulting in the rhythmic contraction of auricles. These impulses are picked up by another set of muscles tissue called as AVN, which is situated at the junction of interauricular ventricular septum. AVN in turn transmits this impulse to the wall of ventricles through a special set of muscles called bundle of his and Purkinje's fiber, resulting in coordinate contraction of ventricles. Bundle of his arises from AVN and descends downward into interventricular septum and divides into two branches that breaks up into network of Purkinje's fibers which pass into walls of ventricle. Types of heart. Myogenic heart. When the heartbeat is controlled by muscle tissue is called as myogenic heart. Example is human heart. Whereas neurogenic heart. When the heartbeat is controlled by nerve cells is called as neurogenic heart. Example king crab or lemurus. Next is blood pressure or BP. The force with which blood pushes against the wall of blood vessels is called BP or blood pressure. The blood pressure of a person is measured by using an instrument called sphygmomanometer, devised by or introduced by Stephen Hales. The BP can be measured in two phases such as systolic pressure and diastolic pressure. The maximum arterial pressure caused due to ventricular systole is the systolic pressure and it is always maximum. The minimum arterial pressure caused due to ventricular diastole is called diastolic pressure. The normal BP of a person is 120 by 80 mmHg. Therefore, BP is equal to systolic pressure divided by diastolic pressure is equal to 120 by 80 mmHg. Hypertension or high BP. When the BP of a person is more than that of normal is called hypertension. It causes due to increase in cardiac output, constrictions in arteries or arteriosclerosis, excessive intake of sodium, occurrence of obesity, etc. What are the effects of hypertension? Hypertension causes considerable harm to the heart, brain, and kidney. Continued hypertension may produce a cerebral vascular accidents or stroke, enhance the development of atherosclerosis, hardening of the arteries due to loss of elasticity, and heart attack. Treatment for hypertension. Medical science cannot cure hypertension. However, it can be controlled in number of ways. Reduction of body weight, regular exercise, restrictions to sodium, stop smoking if any smoker is there, practice relaxation, yoga and meditation to reduce hypertension. Hypotension or low BP. When the BP of a person is less than that of normal is called hypotension. What are the causes for this one? Loss of blood due to hemorrhage, loss of water in large quantities in the extracellular fluids from body through sweating, bum, vomiting, diarrhea, etc. Losing of large quantity of urine, losing of fluid decreases the volume of circulatory blood and hence the pressure decreases. Hypotension is also due to strong emotions and severe allergic response. Effects of hypotension are the severe effect of hypotension are reduced blood flow to the brain, kidney, cardiac muscles, intestine, etc. The blood flow into the skin decreases and hence the skin becomes cold and pale. What are the treatment for hypotension? It can be controlled by avoiding above causal factors. See, coming to the disorders of human heart. First one is hypertension as we have gone through. Next is coronary artery diseases, often referred as atherosclerosis, affects the blood supply to the heart muscles. It is caused by deposition of calcium, fat, cholesterol, and fibrous tissues, which makes the lumen of an artery narrower. Next disease is angina or angina pectoris. It causes acute chest pain due to inadequate oxygen supply to the heart. It occurs due to blockage to the coronary artery. It may happen in men and women of any age, but it is common among the middle age group. That is nothing but the from 20 to 50 years. Next, heart failure. Heart fails to pump the blood to meet the needs of the body. It is the state of the heart when it is not pumping blood effectively. Cardiac arrest. The heart stops beating completely. Next, coming to the next disorder, heart attack. Heart muscles damaged suddenly by an inadequate oxygenated blood supply to the heart muscles. Okay, viewers, I hope you are understanding my videos. If you have any queries or doubts related to the content, you can comment me in the comment or clarify your doubts. Okay, Allah Hafiz, दुआ में याद रखना. Don't forget to like, share and subscribe to my YouTube channel. Allah Hafiz.